A homeless man, cold, hungry, and forgotten by the world, suddenly finds a billionaire's lost wallet, stuffed with cash and black cards worth more than he could ever dream of. With one choice, he could escape the streets forever. No one was watching. No one would know. But instead of keeping it, he returned it. What the young billionaire woman did when she saw him shocked everyone, because in her hands, wealth was endless, but what she longed for most was something money could never buy: trust, honesty, and true love. Why would a man with nothing give back everything? And why would a woman with everything see her future in him? The night was bitter. A half-broken street lamp cast a weak glow on cracked pavement where Daniel lay curled beneath a thin blanket. His ribs showed through his shirt, his shoes were nothing more than torn fabric, and his body trembled from the cold. Around him, people walked by quickly, pretending not to notice. To them, he was just another shadow, another beggar on the forgotten side of the city. Daniel's stomach growled. He pulled out a piece of stale bread from his pocket, his only meal for the day. As he chewed slowly, he whispered to the stars, "Mom, are you still watching me?" He remembered her voice from years ago, soft and certain, "Daniel, no matter how much life takes from you, never lose your kindness." That memory was his only strength. Earlier, he had begged outside a cafe. A man in a suit shoved him, spitting, "Get a job, you worthless bum." Daniel swallowed the insult and walked away, dignity bruised but intact. A few moments later, a little girl approached with wide, innocent eyes. She handed him half her sandwich. "Here, mister." Her kindness struck deeper than the man's cruelty. Tears had blurred his vision as he whispered, "Thank you." Now, as the city quieted into night, Daniel lay restless. The pavement was hard, the air colder. Cars sped by, their headlights streaking past him. Each carried people with somewhere to go, while he remained trapped in a life that had stripped him bare. Then, fate intervened. A sleek black car pulled up across the street. From it stepped a young woman, elegant, graceful, and radiant even under the dim streetlights. She walked with quiet confidence, her heels tapping rhythmically against the sidewalk. Daniel watched as she approached the tall glass building ahead. And then it happened. From her purse slipped a leather wallet. It fell silently, glinting under the weak lamp. She didn't notice. She disappeared into the building's entrance without looking back. Daniel's eyes fixed on the wallet. His heart pounded. Slowly, he rose from the pavement, his legs stiff and sore. Crossing the street, he bent down and picked it up. His hands trembled as he opened it. Stacks of crisp bills. Sleek black credit cards. A driver's license. Her name, Amelia Whitmore. A billionaire heiress. Daniel froze. With this wallet, he could eat for months. Maybe start over. No one had seen him pick it up. The street was empty. His stomach twisted with temptation. He imagined food, shelter, freedom. But then his mother's voice echoed again, "Never lose your kindness." Daniel clutched the wallet tightly to his chest, caught between survival and honor, his decision hanging in the balance. Daniel stood frozen under the flickering street lamp, clutching Amelia Whitmore's wallet as though it burned in his hands. The weight of it was more than leather, cash, and cards. It was the weight of temptation, of survival, of everything he had been denied. He opened it again. The bills stared back at him, crisp, green, and endless. He could almost taste warm bread, hot soup, and a bed to sleep in. His stomach twisted with hunger, his body weak from weeks of cold and malnourishment. "Just one bill," he muttered, his voice trembling. No one would notice, no one. But as soon as the thought escaped his lips, a memory struck him like lightning. He was 10 years old again, standing beside his mother in a grocery store. They were poor even then. He had seen a boy slip a chocolate bar into his pocket. Daniel tugged at his mother's sleeve and whispered, "Why don't we do that too? No one will know." His mother knelt, her tired eyes stern but kind. Daniel, listen to me. You can lose everything in this life, money, friends, even your home. But if you lose your honesty, you've lost your soul. Never let hunger make you a thief. The memory faded, but her words lingered like a chain around his heart. He closed the wallet with trembling hands. Not mine, he whispered, his throat tight. This doesn't belong to me. He looked across the street at the towering glass building where Amelia had gone. Its shining entrance felt like the gates of another world, one he didn't belong to. He shuffled forward, but before he could cross, a group of men lounging near the corner called out. Hey, Danny boy, one of them sneered. They were fellow drifters, men who had long given up hope. What's that you got there? Daniel tucked the wallet close to his chest. Nothing. Just something I found. One of them, tall with hollow cheeks, laughed harshly. Don't play holy with us. You finally struck gold, huh? Keep it. Eat good for once in your miserable life. That rich lady won't even miss it. The others chuckled, nodding. Yeah, man. We'd all do the same. Don't be stupid. Daniel's jaw tightened. Their words pierced him because they echoed the thoughts he was already fighting. He could walk away, vanish into the night, and start over. But another voice rose louder within him, his mother's. I'm not like that, he whispered. What? The tall man scoffed. I said, Daniel said louder, clutching the wallet tighter, I'm not a thief. Their laughter followed him as he limped toward the building. Every step felt like dragging a mountain. The guards at the entrance glared at him immediately, hands on their radios. His ragged coat, his filthy shoes, he didn't belong here. Sir, you can't be here, one barked, stepping forward. Daniel held out the wallet with both hands. Please. This belongs to Amelia Whitmore. She dropped it. The guards exchanged skeptical looks, smirking at each other. Yeah, right. A guy like you returning something like this? Get lost before we call the police. Daniel's heart pounded, but he didn't move. I won't leave until she gets this back. I swear, I didn't take anything. Just give it to her. Please. The guards hesitated, torn between protocol and disbelief. Behind them, the tall glass doors began to open. And through them stepped Amelia Whitmore herself. The glass doors parted, spilling warm light onto the cold pavement outside. Amelia Whitmore stepped out, her heels clicking softly against the polished stone. The billionaire heiress was radiant even in simplicity, her navy dress elegant but understated, her posture carrying the quiet grace of someone used to commanding a room. Her eyes flicked briefly to the commotion at the entrance. Two guards blocking a ragged figure, their voices stern. At first, she almost walked past, until she caught a glimmer of something familiar in the man's trembling hands. Her wallet. Amelia stopped in her tracks. The guard closest to Daniel snapped, I told you to get lost, and moved to shove him back. Daniel staggered but didn't let go of the wallet. His voice cracked with desperation. Please. I swear it's hers. I saw it fall from her purse. I didn't take a cent. Just, let me give it back. Amelia's brows furrowed. She stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. What's going on here? Both guards straightened instantly, embarrassment flashing across their faces. Miss Whitmore, this man claimed he had your wallet. We were just. Her gaze shifted to Daniel. He looked exhausted, filthy, clothes hanging off him in tatters, yet his eyes were steady. Full of something she didn't expect, sincerity. Show me, she said softly. Daniel held the wallet out with both hands, as though it were something sacred. She took it carefully, opening it to confirm. Every card, every bill was still in place. Not a thing missing. Relief washed over her, but also disbelief. You returned it? She asked, almost to herself. Daniel nodded slowly. "It's yours." "I couldn't keep it." For a moment, the city noise seemed to fade. Amelia had spent years surrounded by people who smiled at her wealth but never at her soul. Men who pretended affection only to ask about her company shares. Friends who measured loyalty in designer gifts. Yet here stood a man who had nothing. And still chose honesty. One of the guards scoffed. "He's probably lying. Could have taken something and stuffed it back in before you came out." Amelia turned sharply, her voice cutting through the night like glass. "Enough." The guard fell silent. She looked back at Daniel, her expression softer now. "What's your name?" she asked. Daniel hesitated, unused to being asked, unused to mattering. "Daniel." "Just Daniel." Amelia studied him for a long moment, then extended her hand. Daniel blinked, unsure if he was allowed to touch someone like her. Slowly, cautiously, he shook it. His hands were rough, calloused, hers were delicate but steady. "Thank you, Daniel," she said, her voice sincere. "You've done something most wouldn't." The words hit him harder than hunger ever could. He lowered his gaze, swallowing the lump in his throat. Behind them, the guards shifted uncomfortably. To them, he was still a nobody. But to Amelia, in that moment, Daniel was the most honest man she had ever met. The tension outside the glass building lingered for a beat before Amelia finally spoke. "Come inside, Daniel." The guards' jaws nearly dropped. One of them stammered, "Miss Whitmore, with all due respect, you don't need to." Her voice was calm, but firm as steel. "I said he's coming with me." The guards fell silent. Daniel stood frozen, clutching his ragged coat around him. He looked at her as if she had spoken a foreign language. "Inside?" he asked, his voice rough from years of neglect. "Yes," Amelia said simply, her eyes steady. "Please." For a moment, he hesitated. He didn't belong in a place of marble floors and glittering chandeliers. But then he followed, his steps hesitant, his heart pounding. The lobby was like another world. Polished marble gleamed under golden lights, tall windows reflected the city skyline, and the air carried the scent of roses from a massive centerpiece on the reception desk. Daniel felt every pair of eyes turned toward him. Wealthy guests in tailored suits and designer gowns wrinkled their noses. A child tugged at her mother's sleeve and whispered loudly, "Mommy, why does he smell funny?" Daniel's face burned with shame. He lowered his head, wishing he could disappear. But Amelia walked beside him, chin lifted proudly, ignoring the stares. She led him to a private lounge on the top floor. Inside, the air was warm, the furniture plush, and the silence comfortable. She gestured toward a chair. "Sit." Daniel lowered himself gingerly, afraid his presence might stain the immaculate fabric. Moments later, a waiter appeared. Amelia spoke softly but firmly, "Bring him food. A proper meal." The waiter hesitated at Daniel's appearance but quickly obeyed. Within minutes, steaming plates were set before him, roasted chicken, buttered vegetables, warm bread, a bowl of soup. The smell alone made Daniel's eyes water. His hands shook as he picked up a spoon. For a second, he froze, torn between gratitude and disbelief. Then, unable to resist, he ate. The first sip of soup nearly broke him. Warmth spread through his chest, down to his fingers and toes. He ate hungrily but with reverence, every bite a reminder of what he'd been denied for so long. Amelia watched in silence, her throat tightening. She had seen greed at countless banquets, men devouring food while already rich, never satisfied. But watching Daniel, she saw pure need. She saw humility, gratitude, and dignity, even in his hunger. Halfway through, Daniel stopped abruptly. His eyes brimmed with tears. I'm sorry," he whispered, setting the spoon down. "Sorry? For what?" Amelia asked, startled. For eating like this. For being like this. I don't belong here. His voice cracked. People like me don't belong anywhere. Amelia leaned forward, her gaze steady and kind. Daniel, you belong where honesty belongs. And tonight, that's here. The word struck him deeper than the food had. He lowered his head, tears spilling freely. For the first time in years, Daniel felt seen. The last crumbs of bread were gone, and the plates cleared away. Warmth had returned to Daniel's body, but the weight of silence pressed heavily on his chest. He sat stiffly in the plush chair, hands folded tightly in his lap, afraid that the wrong word would undo the fragile kindness he'd just been shown. Amelia leaned forward, her eyes gentle but searching. Daniel, tell me. How did you end up here? He flinched at the question, gaze dropping to the floor. No one had asked him that in years. People assumed, judged, or mocked, but no one cared enough to listen. His lips trembled. It's not a story people want to hear. I do, Amelia said firmly. Something in her voice broke through the walls he had built around himself. His throat tightened as memories he had buried clawed to the surface. He took a deep breath. I wasn't always like this. I had a home, a family. His voice softened, shaking. My parents were good people. My father worked at a factory. My mother. She worked nights as a nurse. They didn't have much, but they taught me something money couldn't buy, honesty. Even when we had nothing, they told me to keep my head up, to do what's right. His eyes grew distant, as if replaying scenes only he could see. But life, it's cruel. My dad died in an accident at work when I was 17. A machine malfunctioned. The company denied responsibility. We couldn't afford a lawyer. My mom worked herself to exhaustion trying to keep us afloat. I can still see her face that last night before she passed, pale, tired, but still smiling. She held my hand and said, Daniel, don't lose your kindness. His voice cracked. And then she was gone. Amelia's eyes glistened. Daniel swallowed hard, his jaw trembling. I tried, you know. I got jobs. I worked construction, cleaning, anything. But one by one, things fell apart. I was framed for theft at a warehouse where I worked. Fired. Couldn't pay rent. Lost my apartment. The few friends I had, vanished. And the woman I thought I would marry, his voice broke. She left me the moment I couldn't provide. The words hung heavy in the air. Daniel wiped at his eyes quickly, ashamed of his tears. Since then, it's just been me. Sleeping under bridges. Eating from trash. People look at me like I'm filth. Like I don't even exist. And maybe I don't, not anymore. Silence stretched between them. Amelia sat motionless, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She had grown up surrounded by luxury, but she knew loneliness all too well, the kind of loneliness that came not from poverty but from never knowing who to trust. Daniel, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion, you exist. Don't ever say you don't. He lifted his eyes, red and raw, and saw tears glistening in hers. In that moment, the wall between billionaire and beggar cracked, two souls recognizing the wounds the world had carved into them. The silence between them was heavy, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that allowed truths to breathe. Amelia studied Daniel for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she leaned back slightly, her hands folded neatly on her lap. Daniel, she said softly, you've been through more than most people could survive. And yet, you returned my wallet without taking a single thing. That tells me something about you. He shifted uneasily, lowering his eyes. It doesn't tell you much. I'm just a man who's lost everything. No, Amelia said firmly. It tells me you're a man who hasn't lost his soul. That's rare. Especially in my world. Her words stunned him. No one had spoken to him like that in years. She hesitated for a moment, then continued. I want to make you an offer. Come work for me. Daniel's head snapped up. Work, for you? Yes, she replied simply. Not as charity. Not as pity. But as a chance. You deserve one. His face flushed with shock, confusion, and something close to fear. He shook his head rapidly. No. No, Miss Whitmore, I can't. I don't belong in your world. People like me. People like you. Amelia interrupted gently. People like you are exactly what my world needs. Honesty. Integrity. Heart. Those things matter more than degrees or suits or polished shoes. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to believe her, but the voices of everyone who had rejected him echoed louder. You're worthless. You'll never rise again. You don't belong. I'd only embarrass you, he whispered. Amelia leaned forward, her eyes locking on his. Daniel, listen to me. You embarrassed my guards tonight, not me. You embarrassed the people who mocked you by being the better man. If you could stand outside in the freezing cold and still choose honesty, then inside my company, you can do even more. Daniel's hands trembled in his lap. But I don't have anything. No clothes. No skills for offices. I don't even look like someone who could sweep your floor. Then we'll start there, Amelia said without hesitation. I don't care where you begin. What matters is where you can go. I see potential in you, Daniel. Don't let shame blind you to it. His eyes burned. No one had ever spoken to him like this, not since his mother. Tears welled up as he whispered, Why? Why would you do this for me? Amelia's lips curved in a small, sincere smile. Because you did something no one else would have done for me tonight. You gave me back my wallet. But more than that, you gave me back hope that real people still exist. Let me return the favor. Daniel bowed his head, unable to stop the tears streaming down his face. For the first time in years, he felt the faintest flicker of dignity return. Then, yes, he whispered hoarsely. I'll try. The next morning, Daniel stood in front of a tall glass building, Amelia's company headquarters. Its polished walls reflected the rising sun, and the stream of people in sharp suits and glossy shoes moved like a current he had no place in. He tugged nervously at the clean but modest clothes Amelia had sent to his shelter the night before. A crisp shirt, dark trousers, and shoes that actually fit. It had been years since he'd worn anything that wasn't torn or stained. Still, he felt like an imposter wrapped in borrowed skin. Inside the lobby, heads turned the moment he walked in. Whispers followed. Isn't that the homeless guy from last night? What's Amelia thinking, bringing him here? He won't last a week. Daniel felt each word like a stone hurled at his chest. His stomach churned, and for a brief second, he wanted to turn around, flee, and return to the cold safety of the streets where no one expected anything of him. But Amelia appeared at the top of the staircase, radiant and confident, and her smile cut through the noise. Daniel! Come, she called warmly. Let me show you around. The employees exchanged puzzled glances, but none dared question her openly. Amelia walked him through the offices, introducing him as our newest hire. The word felt foreign on Daniel's ears, hire. Not beggar. Not thief. Not trash. Hire. His role was simple at first, maintenance, errands, helping the janitorial staff. Humble work, but to Daniel it was dignity. His hands, once numb from cold pavements, now had purpose. Each floor he swept, each box he carried, felt like a step away from the shame that had defined him. But not everyone saw it that way. By midday, a group of junior executives cornered him near the break room. Their suits gleamed, their watches sparkled, and their smirks dripped with cruelty. "So this is Amelia's new project," one sneered. "What's next, hiring street dogs to guard the building?" Laughter erupted. Daniel froze, gripping the mop handle tightly. Another leaned close, whispering just loud enough. "Bet he's only here because he kissed up to the boss. Maybe she likes her men, desperate." Heat flooded Daniel's face. The old urge to walk away, to vanish, clawed at him. But then he remembered Amelia's voice from the night before, "Don't let shame blind you to your potential." He straightened his back, meeting their stares without flinching. "I'm here to work," he said quietly but firmly. "If you've got a problem with that, take it up with her." The smirks faltered. None of them dared confront Amelia. With muttered insults, they dispersed, leaving Daniel trembling but unbroken. Later, Amelia found him still at his post, quietly polishing the marble floors. She noticed his clenched jaw, the redness around his eyes. "They got to you, didn't they?" she asked softly. Daniel forced a small smile. "A little. But I'm still here." Amelia's gaze softened with pride. "That's all that matters. You stayed." For the first time in years, Daniel felt not like a ghost drifting through life, but like a man taking his first steps back into it. A week into his new role, Daniel moved silently through the building like a shadow. He kept his head down, working harder than anyone else, sweeping, fixing, carrying. The whispers still followed him, but slowly, they grew quieter. People noticed the way he showed up early, stayed late, and never complained. One chilly evening, as Amelia's staff prepared for a critical investor presentation, chaos erupted. The projector in the main boardroom shorted out. Screens flickered, wires sparked, and panic filled the air. "Not now," one executive groaned, tugging at his tie. "The investors will be here in 15 minutes." Technicians scrambled, but the system refused to cooperate. Papers were flying, voices clashed, and desperation thickened the room. Amelia was on her way, and everyone feared the fallout if the meeting failed. Daniel, who had been quietly cleaning in the corner, stepped closer. "Excuse me. I think I can help." The executives turned on him with irritation. "You. This isn't sweeping floors, homeless man. Stay out of it." Daniel ignored the sting in their words. "Please. Just give me 5 minutes." The room buzzed with disbelief, but desperation won. "Fine," one muttered. "If you make it worse, it's on you." Daniel knelt by the projector, his hands steady as he examined the wiring. Years ago, before the streets swallowed him, he had worked construction and odd repair jobs. He remembered the circuits, the connections. His fingers moved with practiced ease, twisting wires, resetting connections, improvising a fix with nothing more than tape and focus. The room held its breath. Then, the screen flickered to life, glowing bright and clear. Cheers erupted. "He did it," someone shouted. "The system's back." Relief flooded the room as the executives rushed to set up their files. Investors began arriving, greeted not with excuses but with a working presentation. Daniel stepped back quietly, ready to slip away, but Amelia entered just then. Her sharp eyes scanned the room. "What happened?" One of the junior executives, flustered, gestured toward Daniel. "The system crashed. He fixed it." Amelia turned to Daniel, her face breaking into a proud, radiant smile. "Of course he did." The words, simple yet full of faith, sent warmth surging through Daniel's chest. For the first time, heads nodded around him. The same people who mocked now looked at him with grudging respect. Later, as the meeting concluded successfully, Amelia found him in the hallway. "You didn't just fix a machine," she said quietly. "You saved my team's credibility tonight. They'll remember that." Daniel lowered his gaze, humility etched in every line of his face. "I just wanted to help. And you did, Amelia replied. Her voice softened. Daniel, every day, you prove why I was right to believe in you. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a new kind of weight. Not the crushing weight of shame, but the steady burden of responsibility, of being someone people could count on. It felt good. It felt right. The night after the presentation, Amelia invited Daniel to her private office. The city lights stretched endlessly beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, glittering like a million diamonds spilled across velvet. Daniel stood awkwardly near the door, hands folded, unsure why he'd been summoned. You wanted to see me, Miss Whitmore? Amelia, she corrected gently, pouring 2 glasses of water. You've earned the right to call me by my name. His chest tightened. A simple word, but it meant the world. She gestured for him to sit. Daniel, I wanted to thank you personally. What you did today, it wasn't just about fixing equipment. You held my entire team together. That matters more than you know. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Anyone could have done it. Amelia leaned forward, her voice soft but piercing. No. They couldn't. They didn't. You did. Their eyes locked, and for a heartbeat, the air between them thickened with unspoken emotions. Amelia broke the silence first, leaning back with a sigh. Daniel, do you know what it's like to have everything but still feel empty? He blinked, startled by her confession. You. Empty. She nodded, swirling the glass in her hands. I have wealth, power, status. But when people look at me, they don't see me. They see the billionaire, the opportunity, the stepping stone to their own ambitions. I've been used, lied to, betrayed. Sometimes I wonder if anyone would care for me if I lost it all. Her words cut through Daniel like lightning. He had thought her life perfect, untouchable. To hear her admit loneliness made her suddenly human, fragile. Amelia, his voice trembled. You'd still be you. Kind, strong, good. Anyone who couldn't see that, they'd be blind. Amelia's throat tightened, her eyes shimmering. And you, Daniel, do you know what I see when I look at you? He shook his head, afraid of the answer. I see a man who has nothing, yet gives everything. A man who has been broken, yet still chooses honesty. Do you realize how rare that is? Daniel swallowed hard, emotion rising in his chest. He wanted to believe her, but doubt lingered. But the world sees me as trash. A mistake. Then the world is wrong, Amelia said firmly. Silence fell again, heavy with raw vulnerability. Then Amelia did something unexpected, she reached across the table, laying her hand over his. Daniel froze. Her touch was soft, warm, and electric. He hadn't felt human connection like this in years. Tears stung his eyes. I trust you, Daniel, she whispered. And that means more than money ever could. His voice cracked as he whispered back, I won't let you down. In that moment, it wasn't billionaire and beggar, employer and employee. It was simply 2 lonely souls finding comfort in each other's honesty. The first spark of something deeper flickered. Fragile, dangerous, but undeniably real. Weeks passed, and Daniel's presence in Amelia's world became undeniable. He worked tirelessly, earning not only respect but admiration from many who had once mocked him. Yet even with his small victories, he never allowed himself to dream too far. He was grateful, yes. Hopeful, maybe. But he never imagined he could truly belong in Amelia's world. Not as her equal. One evening, Amelia called him into her office again. The city skyline glowed outside, but Amelia's desk was empty, save for one familiar object placed carefully at the center. Daniel froze. The wallet. The same wallet he had found on the frozen sidewalk weeks ago. His throat tightened. Why is this here? Amelia stood slowly, her expression unreadable. Do you remember what you said to me that night? Daniel swallowed hard, his voice shaking. I said. I wasn't raised to steal. That honesty was all I had left. She nodded. And you gave back what could have changed your life, because you chose dignity over desperation. That moment changed me, Daniel. It reminded me that trust and love are not bought, they're given. Tears blurred his vision as Amelia reached into the wallet and pulled out a single key, small, silver, glinting under the light. She placed it in his trembling hand. This, she said softly, is the key to a home. Your home. No more bridges. No more shelters. You deserve a place where you belong. Daniel's chest heaved, his legs weak. He stared at the key as though it were made of gold. His lips parted, but no sound came. And that's not all, Amelia continued, her voice firm but tender. You've proven yourself here. Not as charity. Not as a project. But as a man of honor. Starting tomorrow, I want you by my side, not as a janitor, not as an errand boy, but as a trusted advisor. Someone I can rely on. Daniel's tears fell freely now, streaking down his face. Amelia, why me? Why give me all this? Her eyes shimmered, a gentle smile curving her lips. Because you gave me something first. You gave me trust when you had no reason to. You showed me love in its purest form, love without expectation. And, Daniel, she stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I think I've fallen in love with you. The words shattered the last wall around his heart. Daniel dropped to his knees, clutching the key to his chest, sobbing openly. All the years of pain, rejection, and loneliness melted into that moment of unbelievable grace. Amelia knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his trembling shoulders. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt not like a survivor, but like a man finally, fully seen. The homeless man who had once returned a billionaire's wallet had, without knowing, returned something far greater, her faith in love. And in return, she had given him not just a home, not just dignity, but her heart.